This is a Bees and Reverie Radio podcast news short, and this one has a simple but important action you can take before May 19th, 2025. I'm LaDawna Howard, recording this on Earth Day, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. For more than 50 years, a key component of the Endangered Species Act has been the protection of critical habitat for endangered and threatened species. But the Trump administration has proposed a new regulatory change to reinterpret a key word of the Endangered Species Act. This change is so significant that there's a public comment period open. Here's briefly what's going on and how you can help. And again, the deadline for this action is May 19th. The Endangered Species Act is a law that, as written, prohibits the take of endangered species and defines that word take as anything that harasses, harms, or kills a species. The government has interpreted harm to include harm to habitat. So for decades, the Endangered Species Act has protected endangered species, in part, through also protecting their critical habitats from destruction. And this makes sense, right? How can we truly stop doing harm to an endangered species if we're destroying its critical habitat? But what the Trump administration is proposing is to rescind the regulatory definition of the word harm in the Endangered Species Act regulations. They want to redefine harm more narrowly. Under the new Trump administration proposed rule, harming critical habitats of endangered species would no longer mean that you're harming a species. Let me repeat that because I know it's a little hard to believe. The Trump administration is trying to write a new regulation that says that harming habitats no longer means we are harming a species. So what can we do? Because this redefining of what harm is under the Endangered Species Act is so significant, there must be by current law a public comment period. And this means that anyone who cares about this issue can submit a comment on this proposed change. Under current law, each comment must be read and categorized and taken into consideration and summarized and somewhat addressed when they release a final ruling. So every comment really can make a difference. The best way to submit a comment right now, especially with this short deadline, is through the Federal Register online. And I'll have a link directly to that in the show notes of this episode on our podcast. You can also find it by going to federalregister.gov and searching for the title of this proposed rule. Its title is, quote, Rescinding the Definition of Harm under the Endangered Species Act, end quote. The last thing I'll suggest is sort of an outline for a public comment. You don't have to follow this outline at all. A public comment on this can be as long or as short as you want. You could do a really short one, just saying, my name is LaDawna Howard, my zip code is 12345, and I'm against this proposed rule because I support protecting habitats of endangered species. Boom, you're done. But if you want to get a little more specific or even personalize your comment, which would be great, here's a suggested 3-part outline. First, write a sentence or two that just says why you personally care about endangered species or biodiversity. You could talk here about things that you personally do to try and protect biodiversity. Then, number 2, write a sentence or two about why you think that habitats of endangered species should be protected. And number 3, state clearly that you're against this proposal because you're aware that this proposed change will result in a lack of protection for the habitat that endangered species rely on. When you're on the Federal Register website, after you type in your comment, you scroll down just a little bit and there's a button that you can click that says you're an individual, meaning you're just speaking on behalf of yourself as an individual. And then you have an opportunity to say who you are. It's a little form that you fill in, gives you an opportunity to give your name, your city, your state, your zip code, things like that. To have the most impact, please include at least your first and last name and your zip code. Thanks for listening, and happy Earth Day.